while voluntary pathways are usually longer, passing through the brain. Involuntary actions does not require thinking. If you touch any hot object accidentally, the organ of touch gets pulled back immediately. Such an action is a response to the stimulus without any thought is called a reflex action. Such an action happens to protect the organ or body. During this reflex action, information from the detector present in our skin reaches the sensory nerve. Information in the sensory nerve is converted into an electrical impulse. This information is transmitted from the transmitting neuron to the motor neuron. The connection between a sensory neuron and a motor neuron is called a reflex arc. These reflex arcs are found in the spinal cord. All the nerves in the brain form a bundle in the spinal cord. The motor neuron transmits the signal to the effector, here the muscle cells of the arm. After receiving the signal, the action in the muscle is such that the hand gets pulled away from the hot object. This action is done by us without thinking. Had we spent time in thinking about the response? If so, then there will be a delay in the action which will be sufficient to cause severe injury to the part in contact with the hot object. The spinal cord controls the reflexes and immediately responds to such a situation. Note that the information also goes to the brain. The actions which require thinking are called voluntary actions. Picking up information of a stimulus to generate a response involves a pathway from detectors to brain or spinal cord or a set of nerve cell heads near spinal cord to the effectors. Such a single pathway going up to the spinal cord from detectors and returning to effectors is a reflex arc. Every reflex arc, whether it is simple or complex, has 5 parts. The parts take place in a specific order. You can use your thumb and fingers to remember the 5 parts of the reflex arc. The complete sequence is called as the pathway of reflex arc. The 5 parts of the reflex arc are detector or sensor, sensory nerve, spinal cord or brain, which is also called the control center, motor nerve, and effector muscle. The 5 parts work as a relay team to take information from the sensor to the spinal cord or brain and back to the muscles. Your nervous system has groups of neurons that work in circuits to send out and receive information. A reflex is an automatic reaction to a stimulus. A stimulus is something that causes an action. In a simple reflex arc, a neuron brings information about a stimulus to the brain or spinal cord and connects with a motor neuron. The motor neuron sends out a message to a muscle. The muscle responds to that message by contracting. Reflexes don't require thinking. Human brain is quite large as compared to several other animals. An adult brain weighs approximately 1400 grams. Though the brain comprises little more than 2% of the body's weight, it uses
20% of the whole body energy. An average adult male brain weighs about 1375 grams and female 1275 grams. Central nervous system includes brain and spinal cord. It coordinates all neural functions. Let us study the structure and functions of the various parts of the brain. The brain is present in the hard bony box like structure called cranium. It is covered by three layers called the meninges. The space between the inner layers is filled with a fluid called cerebrospinal fluid, which serves as a shock absorbing medium and protects the brain against shocks or jerks along with the meninges and cranium. The cell bodies together form a mass called gray matter, while the myelinated axons form white matter. The gray matter is usually present on the periphery, while white matter is present towards the center. We usually study about the brain in three divisions as follows: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Let us know in detail. The main parts of the forebrain are olfactory lobes, cerebrum, and diencephalon. Midbrain consists of optic lobes. Cerebellum and medulla oblongata are present in hindbrain. An important gland, pituitary gland, the master gland of endocrine system, is present on the floor of the brain as a protrusion of hypothalamus. As you know already, brain consists of mainly three regions: the forebrain, the midbrain, and the hindbrain. So to know the demarcation, various colors were given, and the voluntary actions are under the control of forebrain. Involuntary actions are under the control of midbrain and hindbrain. Cerebrum is the largest part present in the forebrain. It consists of two lobes called cerebral hemispheres. The surface of the cerebrum has many folds. They appear as elevations called xeri and depressions known as sulci. Sulci are very prominent and divide each hemisphere into four lobes. Corpus callosum connects the two hemispheres. The functions of the cerebrum are: it is the seat of mental abilities, controls thinking, memory, reasoning, perception, emotions, and speech. It interprets sensations and responds to cold, heat, pain, and pressure. The another part of the forebrain is diencephalon, and it is rhomboid in shape. It is visible from the inferior surface of the brain. It lies between cerebrum and midbrain. It is divided into thalamus and hypothalamus. The functions of the diencephalon are: it is the relay center for sensory impulses such as pain, temperature, and light. It acts as a reflex center for muscular activities. It is the center for certain emotions such as anger. It is the center for water balance, blood pressure, body temperature, sleep, and hunger. And the hypothalamus controls the pituitary gland. Olfactory lobes present in the forebrain are club-shaped, and their widely spread body is visible from the ventral surface only, and they are concerned with sense of smell. Now, let us study the structure and function of the midbrain. This is a small, thick-stalked portion. Midbrain connects forebrain with cerebellum and pons of hindbrain. Optic lobes are present in midbrain. The functions of midbrain: it relays motor impulses from the cerebral cortex to the spinal cord and relays sensory impulses from the spinal cord to the thalamus, relays reflexes for sight and hearing. The third part of the brain is hindbrain and it consists of cerebellum and medulla oblongata. Cerebellum. It is located below the cerebrum and above medulla oblongata. It consists of two large cerebellar hemispheres. The functions of cerebellum: maintains posture, equilibrium, and muscle tone. Coordinates voluntary movements initiated by cerebrum. Medulla oblongata. It is almost triangular shaped. Medulla oblongata extends from pons to the spinal cord. Functions of medulla oblongata: contains center for cardiac, respiratory, and vasomotor activities, and it coordinates reflexes like swallowing, coughing, sneezing, and vomiting.